What's going on, guys? Victor here with a new video, and we straight up need to talk about this fight that's going on this Saturday in the UFC Apex facility in Las Vegas, Nevada. UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus Rodriguez. This is a fight that's tailor-made for both of these fighters. Max Holloway is one of the most explosive, high-volume seeking fighters that we've ever seen in the UFC, and Yair Rodriguez just happens to be one of the most creative fighters that we've seen in the UFC as well. Both of these fighters in a very stacked UFC featherweight division. I can't wait to see what happens in this fight, but I already know, the majority of us already know that Max Holloway is not going to take this fight lightly. Max Holloway is going to go in there, guns blazing, trying to take off Yair's head off the same way that he did with Calvin Kattar. And I feel like he's even going to put on more volume during this fight than he did against Calvin Kattar, believe me or not, even though that does sound impossible because he did land over 500 punches on Calvin Kattar. Now, the last time that Yair Rodriguez fought was all the way back in 2019. He fought the same opponent twice in that year. He ended up fighting Jeremy Stephens the first time in the card that was tailor-made for him in his native home of Mexico, in Mexico City, Mexico. That fight had to be ended in the first round because of an accidental eye poke that Yair committed on Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy said he couldn't see, and it basically ended up in the whole entire crowd just rioting. You know, it was absolutely insane. Jeremy Stephens kept on getting things thrown at him. Security had to escort him out of the arena. Yair almost knocked out Michael Bisping. I think he called them a curse word in Spanish as well. And then a couple months later, they rebooked that fight in the Garden over in TD Arena over in Boston, Massachusetts. And Yair was able to win that back and forth battle by unanimous decision. And it was looking very bad for him during that third round because he was on the ground against Jeremy Stephens. And Jeremy just kept on hitting him with some ground and pound, but he was able to hang on for a unanimous decision victory in that fight. Is the same thing going to happen against Max Holloway? I don't believe so. I don't believe he's really going to get any looks whatsoever. The reason why the UFC booked this fight to begin with is because they've had a lot of trouble. They've had a lot of basically incidents with Yair Rodriguez over the last couple of years. They ended up cutting him from the organization because they didn't want to take any fights. They ended up bringing him back in there. The fight, Jeremy Stephens, he committed that eye poke. That whole situation ensued in Mexico. They're rematched. After that, they tried to get in the fight Zabit, Magnus Sharipov multiple times, probably at least 5 times. That fight never came to fruition itself. And next thing you know, Yair is nowhere to be found. You know, he's also having trouble with the organization yet again. USADA is trying to find him everywhere in Mexico. They tried finding him in the mountains. They tried finding him over in the beaches in Cancun. I believe they finally found him hidden in the Mayan temples because I believe that he doesn't want to take this fight against Max Holloway, especially after all the footage that he was able to see during his fight against Calvin Kattar, where he never lit his foot off the gas pedal for a single second during that fight. Now, Max doesn't have to take this fight. Max can literally squat on the spot on this ranking until the next year and fight Volkanovski for the 3rd time if he wants to. The UFC has already dubbed him the #1 contender for the title against Alexander Volkanovski, who recently beat Brian Ortega in a pretty one-sided battle. But Max decided, no, I want to take this fight against Yair, who's one of the most creative and exciting fighters in the UFC, and also in the history of the UFC featherweight division. I want to take this fight. I want to stay active. I want to gain experience by going into the octagon and fighting inexperienced individuals such as this. Someone that's highly touted, someone that's highly touted in North America, in his home country of Mexico. And I want to go in there. I want to beat him. I want to send a statement to the champion and tell him that he's next after I deliver this ass beating to Yair Rodriguez. If I'm Yair, and I know in my heart that I believe that I can win, and the whole entire world believes that he can't, I believe a win for Yair Rodriguez is if he doesn't get finished during this fight, which is better said than done because Yair's going to need a granite chin. He's going to need a chin of steel, just like Calvin Kattar did. That fight against Calvin Kattar that Max Holloway had could have been stopped at least 5 times. But Herb Dean was the ref and he decided to let it go because each and every single time that it looked like the fight was going to be stopped, Calvin Kattar kept on showing signs of life. He kept on fighting back. He kept on throwing some wild hooks in there. They showed the referee that he could still go, that he doesn't want the fight to be stopped. Yair, if he can be able to go the full 5 rounds with Max Holloway, then I believe that will be a big win, especially in his career. Surviving against the killers such as Max Holloway that comes from such a small, tiny island nation as Hawaii. Because as we all know, Hawaii used to be its own nation. It used to have its own king and queen before Great Britain and the U.S. decided to take over. Max Holloway doesn't only represent himself or his island nation, but he represents basically the whole entire fan base. Is everybody that basically loves to see him fight, and he does it with a lot of pride. And I believe he's going to go in here with a lot of volume. He's going to get this fight out of here as soon as possible, send a statement. He's going to go to the legs, he's going to go to the body, he's going to go to the head, he's going to throw combinations left and right. I don't believe he's going to want to take this fight to the ground at all. If I'm Yair, I'm going to want to take it to the ground. I'm going to try to test out Max Holloway's jiu-jitsu and try to get off in submission as fast as possible, because if this fight stays on the feet, then it is going to be a finish victory via TKO or knockout victory by Max Bless Holloway. Yair's only hope is if he gets it to the ground, because if he's expecting another Hail Mary vertical upward elbow that he threw up against the zombie against Max Holloway, it's not going to happen. The chances of that happening are about 0.1%. That's how unlikely that's going to transpire during this fight against Max Holloway. But I just wanted to talk about this video one last time because I did make a preview video a couple months ago, and I did state that I believe that Max Holloway is going to win this fight, and I do believe that he's going to shock the MMA world again with another brilliant and flawless performance. And I can't wait to see what happens this Saturday. I think it's a great card. I think it's a great main event, and I can't wait to see how far this fight is going to go, and who really wants it more. Is it the Pantera or is it Blessed? We're just going to have to see and find out. Appreciate you guys for watching this video. Stay safe, stay blessed, and enjoy the fights from this Saturday.